two friends reunite through a video chat and discover a mysterious online game that reveals dark secrets and spooky events. It's the year 1999, and the internet is just becoming widespread. People are discovering new features like instant messaging and webcam. Two young adults, Rachel and Jay, reunite over video chat. It's been well over a year since they last caught up. Rachel has moved to San Francisco, while Jay still lives in their hometown of San Antonio. They catch up on each other's dating lives. Rachel was in an open relationship with a man named David, for whom she moved to San Francisco. But David ended up dumping her for a girl he met on an online forum called Real Vampires. They laugh about how absurd the situation is. Jay is single too, after being rejected by Amy, another friend of theirs. It's a touchy subject for Jay. Everyone could tell that Jay had a thing for Amy, but when he asked her out, she told him she only saw him as a friend. Soon after, Amy stopped talking to Jay completely. Rachel admits that she also hasn't heard from Amy in about a year. She has tried to get in touch via email, but never got a response. Rachel considers giving Amy a call right then and there, but Jay says it's not a good idea. She calls Amy up anyway, and says over the phone that her name came up in conversation. Jay looks humiliated, and tries to get Rachel to hang up, before Rachel reveals she was just pranking him. Amy never actually picked up the phone. They decide to try out the share screen feature of the video chat, so they can check out websites together. Rachel sends a chat message to Amy, asking her to join their video call. She gets an automated response from Amy, saying finally playing House of Hunger. Curious, they look the game up. A website pops up for an online choose-your-own-adventure style game called House of Hunger, and the two friends decide to see what it's all about. On the door of the house is a knocker that looks like a hungry ghost. Jay explains to Rachel what it is: a demon-like creature from Buddhist culture with insatiable desire or hunger as a result of evil deeds. After learning this, Rachel gets excited to play the game. She tries to convince Jay to play, but he tries to get out of it with the excuse that it's late and he has work in the morning. Rachel's phone rings, and she steps away from the computer to take the call. While she's on the phone, the game starts by itself. She returns to the video chat and sees this, so she figures they might as well play. She successfully convinces Jay to join, and they take a shot of alcohol to calm their nerves. When the game starts, a guest book appears on screen. The only name written in the guest book is Amy. Jay finds this strange, since he's a big gamer and has never heard of House of Hunger before. How could Amy be the only one who's ever played it? Rachel and Jay put their names in the guest book as well. Afterward, they are taken to the virtual foyer. The welcome message explains that they will go through the house's rooms and hallways. They must choose wisely and find the skeleton key to make it out alive. If they choose the wrong door, their souls will be stuck in the house forever. Rachel and Jay pick a door on the left side first. They enter a library where a typewriter sits on a desk in the middle of the room. The paper in the typewriter reads, "The Six Realms." This sounds familiar to Jay, so he looks for a book in his room from his religious studies class in college. He opens the textbook and reads that there are 6 realms of Buddhism that one can be reborn into: heaven, asura, human, animal, ghost, and hell. He types these 6 items into the game's typewriter, and this opens a secret door. When they click on the secret door, an eerie video plays of someone walking through the woods, holding what appears to be human organ. The video is brief, and they soon enter another hallway in the game. As they click their way through the hallway, a jump scare image of a ghoul pops up, frightening the 2 players. They get to the hallway elevator, but Rachel is too distracted by the image. She thinks the ghoul looked a bit like Amy. Jay reminds her that it's just a game, but Rachel is still a little spooked. Inside the elevator, they must choose from 6 levels they can go to. They figure each level represents one of the 6 realms, and they choose level 4, the human realm, first. This realm is far from what they expected. The hallways are dirty and bloody. They enter a small room, where a random character gives them the next hint: "If I am not my body, not my feelings, not my mind, then what am I?" Aloud, Jay answers nothing. Once he says this, a door swings open. But neither Rachel nor Jay clicked on the door. Could the game hear him, or was it just a coincidence? The next room they enter is a morgue. At this point, Jay says he doesn't want to play anymore. It's getting quite late, and there's work the next day. Rachel argues the game is probably almost over and they should just finish it. Just then, they receive a notification that Amy wants to join their video chat. Jay tells her not to accept the request, but Rachel does anyway. Amy's chat window pops up on screen, but they don't see her. What appears is a glitchy video with robotic sounds. Then her video disappears. Jay decides he's had enough and disconnects from their call. Rachel is now alone. With nothing better to do, she tries to continue the game. However, House of Hunger doesn't let her continue without a player too. She calls up Jay to tell him that she can't finish the game because he disconnected. She feels bad leaving it unfinished, and tries to convince Jay to go back online. He gives in. Right before Jay's video reconnects, an image of a ghoul flashes on his chat window. Jay notices Rachel looks a little disturbed, but she doesn't tell him what she just saw. They make a deal to only play until 3 in the morning. House of Hunger continues. Next, they are led to an art gallery with the prompt, "A painting is complete when it has the shadow of God." Jay says this is the Asura, or God realm. Jay tells Rachel more about the meaning of this realm. Rachel can't help but laugh a little, because she doesn't realize how religious and knowledgeable Jay actually is about this topic. Jay implores her then to talk about what she actually believes in. Rachel claims she's a realist, and doesn't believe there is a God. Her breakup with David made her world crumble to the point where she almost ended. When this happened, she didn't see any light or anything at the end of the tunnel. It was just nothing. Then she woke up in the hospital. Ever since that day, she decided that she doesn't believe in the afterlife or a God. This is the first Jay is hearing of this incident. He's glad Rachel made it out of the dark place and is doing better. He tells her he'll stop with the religious talk now. They continue the game. The instructions in the gallery read to view each painting carefully and choose one. They see one artwork that strangely resembles Rachel. Another is of a dark forest with a silhouette standing in the middle. They choose the latter, and before taking them to the next room, a camcorder video flashes, showing the woods. There is the sound of a baby crying and shouting somewhere in the distance. Jay says it must represent the birth of something. The next room puts them into catacombs. It is the Hell Realm, filled with bones and skulls. They are given a hint that reads, "Life is uncertain. The end of life is certain." They hover the mouse on rows of skulls, which show the name of each person. One of them says Amy 31. Their eyes widen in shock. Could this be their friend Amy? Suddenly, a Ouija board appears on screen. The screen reads that each player must place 2 fingers from each hand on their mouse to communicate with the other side. If anyone lets go of their mouse, the session will end. Once again, Jay says he's had enough. He doesn't feel like it's just a game anymore, and he doesn't want any part in it. Rachel still wants to play though, and tries to convince him again to stay. Reluctantly, Jay obliges. Rachel asks the Ouija board if anyone is there, and the pointer leads to yes. She asks how many years the spirit has been gone, and it leads to the number 1. Rachel asks what the spirit's name is, and the board spells out Amy. They stare in shock, but Rachel tells Jay not to take his fingers off the mouse. Rachel asks the spirit to prove that it's Amy. Suddenly, there's a knock on Jay's door. Startled, he lets go of the mouse, and the Ouija board session ends and brings them to a screen that shows a graveyard. Jay answers the door, and Rachel waits for him to come back. She hears Jay off-screen shouting at his mother to go to bed. He gets back to the screen and apologizes, saying his roommate was being ridiculous. This excuse throws Rachel off, because Jay previously told her he had moved out, but it turns out he's actually still living with his parents. She's a bit upset with his dishonesty, and Jay promises not to lie anymore. Another notification pops up from Amy, requesting to join their video chat. Rachel accepts. Amy's window shows a dark and disheveled room filled with paintings and notebooks, but there's no person on the screen. They call out Amy's name, but no one responds. Worried, Rachel asks Jay if Amy was acting strange before they lost contact. Jay said she was normal before she shut him out. Then he remembers that Amy had a blog called Amy's Hidden Nook. He said it was just a stupid blog. Rachel looks it up and opens the website. One of the tabs on her blog says HOH, which they realize stands for House of Horrors. Based on the blog, it looks like Amy thought the game was haunted. Another tab says videos. They keep Amy's chat window open as Rachel opens this tab. There are 2 video titles, The Hungry Ghost and The Cemetery. They watch the first video, which shows someone walking through a dark cemetery. It looks like it was taken with a camcorder, like the videos shown in the House of Hunger game. The person in the video tilts the camera to something on the ground, a beating heart on a plate. Then the video goes black. Jay figures the person in the video was trying to summon the hungry ghost. The heart was an offering. Rachel asks if that was Amy in the video. They watch the second video that shows what seems to be a live stream from a graveyard. It is the same graveyard that is currently on screen in the game. They raise the screen brightness and see a woman standing in the back. It's Amy. On the video chat, they hear voices start to come from Amy's window. Rachel pleads with Amy to talk to them, while Jay tells Rachel that Amy has gone crazy and he doesn't want to do this anymore. A low voice starts murmuring from Amy's screen. It doesn't sound like Amy, and they can't make out the words. Rachel remembers that Jay's house is close to Amy's, and suggests he check up on her in case she's hurt or in trouble. Jay refuses, fearing that Amy is waiting there, ready to hurt him. Rachel suggests they call the police, but Jay doesn't want to get the police involved. He admits the truth. After Amy rejected him, he hacked into her computer and blocked her family and friends. He wanted Amy to think Jay was the only person who was there for her. Rachel is in disbelief. She curses at Jay, realizing the reason Amy hasn't been responding is because she was blocked. Jay insists that he regrets it, and everyone has moved on from it. Rachel forces him to go check on Amy or she'll call the police. Jay leaves to go to Amy's house, and Rachel tries calling out to her friend again. When Jay gets to the house, he calls Rachel and tells her that no one is answering the door. He breaks in instead and walks into the room on the chat window. He turns on the lights, revealing even more paintings all over the room. Jay gets on Amy's computer and tells Rachel there's no sign of her in the house. He looks around the messy room. They recognize a painting from the one displayed in the game's gallery, the painting of Rachel. They look around and realize the whole room is filled with paintings of Rachel. Jay rummages through Amy's desk and finds some tapes, labeled House of Hunger 1 through 6. They are uploaded on her computer. He shares Amy's screen and clicks on the House of Hunger video files. It shows the same footage of the woods they saw on her blog, the one with the beating heart. The video ends with a screaming sound, and the image of a skeleton being lifted up into the air. The next video takes place in Amy's room from about 1 year ago. Jay goes into the room and starts shouting at Amy, telling her he does everything he can do to help her, and she gives him nothing in return. He says he's done with her, and she can take her for all he cares. The video ends, and Jay is gone from the screen. Multiple windows pop up that show a picture of Amy and Rachel together. Suddenly, Amy's chat window shows a distorted video of Jay screaming. He disappears. Talking to Amy's empty window, Rachel starts apologizing. Crying, she calls herself an idiot for moving away. She thought that if she moved away, Amy would find someone better who could make her happy. She pleads with Amy to talk to her. For a long moment, there's no response. Then the Ouija board appears on screen again. Putting her fingers on the mouse, Rachel asks Amy if she hates her. The board points to no. Rachel asks what Amy wants her to do. The video of the graveyard reappears, with Jay's body in the back. Rachel runs away from her computer. A moment later, there is a loud thump, and Rachel's body appears beside Jay's in the graveyard. The computer shuts down,